Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras, and today is Throat Punch Thursday.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Who's ready?
It's Throat Punch Thursday, bitch.
Oh, yeah, talking about Throat Punch Thursday, let me tell you, there are some things that are going down that we're going to be talking about in the news today. You are very, very, very much going to enjoy. But first, we got to handle business. We got to pay the bills like we normally do. And you know how we normally start it. We start off by doing a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to be starting first and foremost with the folks over at Hitman Industries. Now, they make rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length. All you got to do is go to their website, hitmanindustries.net, and check it out. Now, if you've bought an AR in the last few years, there's a good chance you already have one of their barrels, so why not get another one, right? It's that simple. So look, whether you're beginning your project, you want to call it your experience, whatever you want to refer to it as, start it off with Hitman Industries. And then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all levels of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. In fact, Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. You need to find out why. And you do that by visiting them online at cragop.org. Go there today. Check them out. Because if you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market, and that would be at Hog Holsters. You will find them at hogholsters.com. Now, it's spelled a little funny. It's HAWG holsters.com. That's because they like helping Americans wear guns. They like it so much, they're going to make it easy for you. Go there, check them out, and if you find something you want to buy, all you have to do is use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, one word, no spaces, just like it is right up there, and you're going to get your hog holster on discount today. And then finally, there is the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun, and that would be at uscombatgear.com. Now, they specialize in group sales, so if you're the purchasing agent for your department, for your agency, for your club, or just a bunch of your friends, you need to go there and check them out. They have a huge selection. They have excellent, excellent competitive pricing and the best customer service available on the market, so check them out today. uscombatgear.com, the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. All right, by the way, just wanted to remind you, for those of you who do not know, if you're watching the program in the 3 o'clock hour on the West Coast, or you're watching the program during the 6 o'clock hour on the East Coast, or anywhere in between in the Midwest, you're watching us live. And with Mike not here, well, you know, then I don't have anyone to banter with except you, because guess what? Well, like I said, we're watching it live. We're doing this live, and I'm following your comments right over here. See, I'm mobile today. That's why you notice it a little different. But I'm following your comments right over here, and if I find them to be interesting, I will share them with the rest of the audience. Now, let's be real clear. Interesting is like, let me know where you're at. Let me know what you think about the program, stuff like that. And even more special, even more memorable, is when you disagree. Because when you disagree, that gives us an opportunity to mock you.
Oh wow, is that a mockingbird?
Man, is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
That's right. We will mock you. And by the way, we do so, and we threaten to do so, not because, you know, we want you to feel bad. We do so because it's funny. And it's entertaining, mostly to me. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into today's news stories. And this is, by the way, breaking news. Right? Breaking news, in case you guys have not heard this yet. Attorney General Pam Bondi has been canned. She is no longer the Attorney General of the United States. Yeah, nope. She has been removed. This here being reported by the folks over at Fox News, and it might help if I actually had the story up. Here we go. It says here, Pam Bondi, already fired as Attorney General, cabinet official teed up as replacement. This is according to sources. Now it says here, President Donald Trump fired Attorney General Pam Bondi Wednesday, according to two sources familiar with the matter who spoke to Fox News Digital. Trump confirmed the ouster in a Truth Social post Thursday, underscoring that he views her as, quote, a great American patriot and a loyal friend, as she moves into an undisclosed role in the private sector. Quote, Pam Bondi did a tremendous job overseeing a massive crackdown in crime across our country, with murders plummeting to their lowest level since 1990, he continued. We love Pam, and she will be transitioning to a much needed and important new job in the private sector to be announced at a date in the near future. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, or I don't know if it's Blanche or Blanchet, will serve as interim Attorney General. Attorney General Fox News reported. Now, it's rumored that Lee Zeldin, the guy who's currently over the EPA, is going to be the one who is going to wind up replacing her. So let's talk a little bit about this. Now, you guys have been watching this program for a while. If you have been watching it, you know I've never been a fan of Pam Bondi. She is in my opinion, she is a politico. She is someone who will do whatever she's got to do to be on the political side of the right people. When she was Attorney General in the state of Florida, she's one of the people who helped push the law, which basically took the right to keep and bear arms away from adults under the age of 21. She's one of the ones who pushed red flag laws, which, as you know, violate our rights in many, many ways. So I'm no fan, right? I'm also have not been a very fan of how she has presented herself before Congress. You know, I get it. They can be some petty folks over there. They can be jerks, but what I never liked was she always seemed that rather than working to inform and educate members of Congress, she always came across as someone who was trying to belittle and make fun of them. And, you know, the best way to if you want to make fun of your political opponents, let them seem petty. Let them come across as petty and minor. She's just never really impressed. I'm sorry. Her and Kristi Noem were two appointments that I didn't like, and guess what? Those are the two that got fired. What can I say? Maybe I'm a better judge of these folks than is President Trump. Maybe not. I don't know. All I know is this. All I know is that I was not very happy with her, and I'm glad that she is gone. Lee Zeldin, I have to be honest, I don't know where he is on a lot of the gun stuff. I'm sure, I mean, being from New York, you know, you can make assumptions, right? But I'm not going to make any assumptions about him being from New York. What I am going to say is that he has done a bang-up job there with the EPA. In fact, it's one of the probably, if you're looking at people who've done the best jobs in their positions, right there at the top is Marco Rubio, and then right after him would be Lee Zeldin. So it is not hard to believe that he would be able to come in and be a stand-up guy and make things happen and make things work over there. Now, one of the things that's important to us is, what does Bondi leaving the DOJ, what does that mean for gun rights, right? What does that mean for the Second Amendment? And Cam Edwards wrote a piece over at Bearing Arms, and I wanted to share a little bit of it with you to see what, so you can get an idea what people who are some of the thought leaders in this arena would say. It says, according to Fox News report, Pam Bondi received the apprentice treatment from President Donald Trump on Wednesday night and was fired as Attorney General. Fox, citing two unnamed sources, say Bondi met with Trump in the Oval Office ahead of his address to the nation and was on her way back to Florida by the time the president went live. It says here the White House responded to a Fox News request for comment, pointed to the same comment the White House comms office provided to the New York Times when it asked about Bondi's job status earlier in the week. Attorney General Pam Bondi is a wonderful person, and she is doing a good job. Now, this is what specifically he said. He said, Pam Bondi is a great American patriot and a loyal friend who faithfully served as my Attorney General for the past year. Pam did a tremendous job overseeing a massive crackdown in crime across our country, with murders plummeting to their lowest levels since 1900. We love Pam, and she will be transitioning to a much needed and important new job in the private sector to be announced at a later date. And our Deputy Attorney General and very talented and respected legal mind, Todd Blanche, Todd Blanche, will step in to serve as acting Attorney General. Now, this is according to Cam, Blanche has been very active in the DOJ's Pro 2A efforts. and showed up at this year's SHOT Show in Las Vegas, where he promised the DOJ's Civil Rights Division would be taking an additional cases challenging state and local gun laws this year. Blanche also said that the DOJ's rights restoration process would be in place starting March 1st, though which does not appear to be the case. So in other words, it's not there. Now this is a guy, I don't know who, I've never heard of this guy before. His name is Costas Moros, and for some reason Cam felt the need to put his name in here. He said, "If true, this makes me nervous. I know many other 2A Twitter folks don't like her for reasons I think are sometimes unreasonable, but it remains true that she has empowered the Civil Rights Division massively to pursue the Second Amendment as a priority." Now, here's where I will say that. Here's what I say this means for the Second Amendment. I think it is still going to be good because, I mean, her record, quite frankly, in the past is not one that is necessarily pro-Second Amendment. And I think that her position, if you look at where she's been now, right, let's look at where the department has fallen short now. For example, she was tasked early on in the administration with coming out with, within 60 days, she was supposed to have a list of all of the federal laws and regulations that were not in line with the Second Amendment and have an action plan. To this date, we still have not seen an action plan. To this date, and we're talking months after this action plan was supposed to be done, we've got nothing. In fact, the deadline came and went, and she had nothing to say. Now, in the fall, they announced this new department, which is, by the way, overseen by the Department of Civil Rights, which is overseen by Harmeet Dillon, who, by the way, has been doing a phenomenal job. But here's the other thing. They're talking about going after state laws. They're talking about going after local laws. But I don't see anything about, or at least not enough, in terms of what they're going to be doing with federal laws. Now, we've seen some drib and some drab. There was something about, being able to mail handguns that came out. We talked about, I think that was yesterday or the day before. So there's little things, but there are some very, very big things that can start to take place now. We're seeing some legal opinions that are coming out. Not many of which, there are some rules and regulations that can be changed now. And we just need to see them start to do that, because really we need to, now the challenge with some of those things is that when those are changed, they could be changed right back by the next administration. So there's a problem with that. So anyway, there are also positions, anti-gun laws or anti-Second Amendment laws that the Department of Justice is actually fighting to defend, that they need to stop fighting to defend, right? They need to stop, they're fighting to defend. In some cases, they're defending them in courts. In some cases, they are going after anti-gun laws. Well, some of those lawsuits and some of those legal cases, they need to just say, you know what, we're done, and come up with the legal, constitutional reasons why they are giving up on those, or why they're not going after those, why they're not pursuing those cases anymore. So they need to do that. And according to Harmeet Dillon, there are several things that they are actually doing in order to make that happen. But if you're listening, once again, if you're listening to Harmeet Dillon. And why is okay, it says it's streaming, so why is it not? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm like both talking on here, talking with y'all while I'm doing this, and I'm noticing that it's not showing up on my personal feed. That is kind of weird. Anyway, but I digress. Anyway, interesting things are happening over there in the Attorney General's office. I am very much looking forward to seeing what will eventually wind up happening. Lee Zeldin, like I said, I'm sure will do a fine job. But once again, we shall see. I'm not going to hold my breath. We need to make sure that whatever we are doing, we need to make sure that we are creating opportunities for the Second Amendment to be seen, to be heard. Oh, there we go. All right, I am live on my website. I was about to say, brother man trying to keep me down. Anyway, but we're all good. We're all good. Okay, moving on to our next story, and this is probably one where you're going to probably start to see the Democrats, well, not the Democrats, you're going to start to see the Attorney General's office is going to have to deal with it. And this has to do with Act Blue. Now, the reason why this is in particular, such a big deal is because this is a story that's actually coming out of the New York Times, right? The New York Times is actually putting together this report. And they're basically saying that Act Blue, which is basically a major fundraising platform for the Democratic Party, they have not been adequately vetting foreign donors. Now, we knew this. You knew this. I knew this. We've talked about this. We've seen stories where people have received money from foreign donors, but we don't see a whole lot of that in the mainstream media. We don't see a lot of them talking about a lot of it. We haven't seen any prosecutions. Well, I think that is about to change. And this, once again, this reporting coming from the folks over at Breitbart. The Democratic Sacramento, same thing. The Democratic fundraising machine, Act Blue, was reportedly warned by a law firm working for the platform in early 2025 that it possibly misled congressional leaders regarding its vetting of foreign donations, according to the New York Times. The newspaper on Thursday noted its article was based on internal legal memos, emails, resignation letters, Slack messages, and interviews with current and former employees of the Democratic National Committee's donor platform. Adding, the fundraising group is facing investigations as the November midterm elections approach. The outlet said the firm concluded that Act Blue's chief executive had given a potentially misleading response to congressional Republican investigators in a 2023 letter explaining how the organization vetted donations to ensure that they were not illegally coming from foreign citizens. The letter from the chief executive, Regina Wallace Jones, said Act Blue carried out multi-layered screening of contributions that helped to root out those from overseas. In fact, the law firm found some of the steps she had described were not always followed. The firm, Covington Burling, said the issue presents, quote, substantial risk for the fundraising platform. And the Times article noted, quote, one memo raised the specter of a criminal investigation if prosecutors believed that Act Blue had tried to conceal facts about its efforts to prevent foreign contributions. In a social media post Thursday, Representative Elise Stefanik shared the Times report, writing, quote, this Act Blue investigation is among the biggest bombshell campaign finance, corruption, and actual foreign election interference stories in America's politics. And it was so publicly obvious, with many urging the media to look into this, but until recently, the media refused to do it. And that's true. I mean, this is stuff that, you know, once again, it's so obvious. We've talked about it here on this program. We've talked about it where a lot of conservative news outlets have actually shared this information, have actually done the homework. And when it gets so bad that Act Blue's lawyers are telling you, when it gets so bad that they're pulling things from resignation letters because people don't want to go to jail, it's pretty serious. Let me just give you this other one. When the New York Times is willing to report on it from a liberal source, you know there is some there, right? There is no doubt, I won't say no doubt, there is little doubt that there is some there. And stuff neat. Anyway, it's going to be interesting because once again, we're going now into the midterms, right? So this platform has got to be very, very careful because they're going to be under major scrutiny now. Once again, we're heading into the primaries and the midterms are going to be the general election is going to be right around the corner. And they've got to raise money. And as it is right now, Republicans are kicking butt when it comes to fundraising. They are raising way more money than Democrats are. So they really can't afford to have this happen now at this point. But it is. So anyway, keep an eye out for that story because I have a feeling now that the New York Times has reported on it, and now that we've got a new head of the DOJ, do not be surprised if you start to see some criminal investigations. I'm not saying, just saying. Oh, that now brings us to Trump and, his statement that we are going to speaking of Iran, we're going to bomb them back to the Stone Age.
As we speak this evening, it's been just 1 month since the United States military began Operation Epic Fury, targeting the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, Iran. In these past 4 weeks, our armed forces have delivered swift, decisive, overwhelming victories on the battlefield. Victories like few people have ever seen before. Tonight, Iran's Navy is gone. Their Air Force is in ruins. Their leaders, most of them terrorist regime they led, are now dead. Their command and control of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is being decimated as we speak. Their ability to launch missiles and drones is dramatically curtailed, and their weapons, factories, and rocket launchers are being blown to pieces. Very few of them left. Never in the history of warfare has an enemy suffered such clear and devastating large-scale losses in a matter of weeks. Our enemies are losing, and America, as it has been for 5 years under my presidency, is winning, and now winning bigger than ever before.
All right, so basically he said, a quote, we're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages. Trump says U.S. will hit Iran regime extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now, why is the two to 3 weeks important? Because in 2 to 3 weeks, we're about a month in, right? In 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to be coming up against that 60-day deadline where he's going to need to get the approval of Congress in order to be able to be there. So basically, it's at this point now, it's put up or shut up. It's either put an end to it or just pull your troops out. It's going to be one of those things. Anyway, let's read a little bit from the story. The United States is gearing up to strike Iran extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks, President Donald Trump said in a primetime address Tuesday, adding that the Islamic Republic's oil infrastructure will be a target if the regime does not agree to a ceasefire deal. Quote, I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We are going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks, Trump said as he made the case for Operation Epic Fury directly to the people of the United States. Quote, we're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong. If the regime refuses to make a deal with the United States, Trump said the U.S. military has its eyes on key targets that include Islamic Republic's electric plants, gas fields, and oil infrastructure. Quote, if there is no deal, we are going to hit each and every one of their electric generating plants very hard and probably simultaneously, Trump said in his first direct address to the nation since the engagement began over a month ago. Quote, we have not hit their oil, even though it's the biggest target of all, because it would not give them even a small chance of surviving a rebuild. But we could hit it, and it would be gone. There would be nothing they could do about it. And by the way, let me be very clear. He is not wrong. He is definitely not wrong. There is absolutely nothing that they would be able to, in particular, to do about this. There would be nothing they would be able to do about it. Now, here's the deal, though. Ultimately, though, he's got to make a decision. It's poop or get off the pot, right? In other words, either he's got to figure out, either he's got to get things done. Now, the problem with this is he doesn't want to do that, right? I don't think he wants to do that because he wants them to be able to rebuild, and he doesn't want us or our European partners to have to pay for that rebuild, because if you take out all their oil, that's exactly what you're going to wind up having. right? You're going to wind up having the West paying to rebuild Iraq when people take over. So first of all, there's that. The other issue, though, and this is the most concerning thing, is I don't believe the people who are currently running the government there in Iran care about their people. They do not. If they did, they would have surrendered by now. They would have done something by now. They don't care. All they care about is, can we win in the court of public opinion? And by going after their oil, that's exactly what they believe will happen, is that they will win in the court of public opinion. That will make it look like, oh, well, they're attacking civilians. And that's because right now they have friends in the American media. That's what the American media is talking about. I mean, you literally have people in the American media talking about how we're losing this war, even though, I mean, I think we've barely broken a dozen. We're barely over a dozen American soldiers dead, right? None of our major assets have been hurt or harmed or hit. You cannot have a more lopsided victory than we have had thus far in this particular battle. But that is not going to stop them one bit. That is not going to stop them from saying whatever it is that they're going to say. So anyway, all that having been said, it's going to be, as they have gone from day to day saying we've hit them harder and harder and harder, it's going to be very interesting to see what that in the end winds up looking like. All right, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. As you know, parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com, use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, and get your Hog Holster today. All of our parting shots today are going to be brought to you by the Babylon Bee, fake news that you can trust. And we've got some doozies here. Now, you know that the state of Colorado, actually, they had a case that was being heard dealing with their quote-unquote gender-affirming care. Well, here's your first story here. It says here, Supreme Court begs Colorado to please be normal for once. And that is true, because if it ain't California, if it ain't New York, it is Colorado with some of these weird, very, very weird cases. Then you've got Elon Musk launches rescue plumber to repair Artemis toilet. Yeah, that is hilarious because, well, if you know, they had a problem with their toilet before I think that was one of the things that delayed the launch. Anyway, next up, sneak peek look at the features of the Trump White House ballroom. Let's take a look here. We've got a prison for journalists. We've got a big, beautiful Trump bust. I guess that's going to be, looks like King Kong on the outside of the White House. They've got a laser turret. He's going to put a laser turret in the new ballroom. One column for each country conquered. Interesting. He's got his Imperial Guard. That is coming actually a la Joe Biden. Don't forget, he's going to have he's going to have a Diet Coke fountain. There is also going to be an octagon just there on the outside, 9-sided, because it's better than all the other octagons. A maze for the dumb kids. That's horrible. All right, and then finally, and this one is probably more news appropriate, Pam Bondi, quote, not quite hot enough to be this bad at her job. Yeah, that does seem to be a thing for him when it comes to a lot of his female appointments this time around. He tends to like them camera ready. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is, but they may be camera ready, but they're definitely not good at their job. So I'm glad she's gone. Anyway, that's going to bring us to the end of our program. But before we go, we're going to give one more quick shout out to our sponsors. We've got Hitman Industries, rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length at hitmanindustries.net. The California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Check them out at cragop.org. Then we've got Hog Holsters, the best in concealed carry holsters on the market. Hogholsters.com, HAWGholsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. And that would be at uscombatgear.com. All right, folks, once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Free for All Friday. Till then, y'all have fun. Stay safe. And we will see you mañana.